Dari, hello. It's Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. And this is an extremely sad day for me because I am packing up my newly purchased Google Pixel 6 smartphone to send it back to Google. This is a video to explain why I don't take the decision lightly, especially because, reveal, I am one of the early adopters. And as an early adopter, I have the opportunity to get a £350 pair of headphones for free. And so since I was actually in the marketplace for some reasonably expensive headphones, that brings the cost of this, the actual effective cost of this smartphone, down to about £300. And I'm still returning it. That's how cross and upset I am. And so here are the reasons why I'm returning my Google Pixel 6 smartphone. Okay, the principal reason I am returning this phone is because it's basically not as good for me, and I might argue for anyone, as a Google Pixel 4 phone, which is my current phone. Ironically, I've spent days, and I mean literally days, transferring all my bank accounts, all my two-factor authentications, logging into all my apps, my security systems. It's taken me literally days to move everything to the Pixel 6. And if I was a much richer person, I'd probably still keep the Pixel 6 and just keep it in a drawer. But I'm not such a rich person, and so I'm going to have to spend another, well, literally hours moving everything back to the Pixel 4. Because you probably know you can't have most two-factor authentications, can only be on one device, not on multiple devices. So yes, the principal reason I'm returning the phone is that the Pixel 4, and I'm going to tell you exactly why, is a better phone. And the first point to talk about is the goddamn awful fingerprint reader. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to give you a demonstration of how awful it is, but let's try the under-screen fingerprint reader. 3, 2, 1. Oh my god, that was slow. At least it actually worked. But still, it's a very slow under-screen fingerprint reader. As most people in the Google sphere know, the 4A and 5 Pixel phones featured a fingerprint reader on the back of the phone. But the Pixel 4, which was manufactured at the end of 2019, was Google's high-end phone and featured a biometric unlock system very similar to Apple's Face ID. And it was brilliant. It's still absolutely brilliant. And why, Google, why don't you continue it? So the rationale as to why Face ID is so brilliant is it's a secure unlock system. It's not just a simple camera, which is not secure. So you can't use your front-facing camera as a Face ID unlock to be secure. I mean, that's pretty good, but it's not good enough. It's not as fast as a physical fingerprint reader that's on the side of a phone, on the back of a phone, but it's very, very convenient. And it means to say, if you have repeated conditions that need to be unlocked, for example, if you're in a bank, if you want to unlock your phone, then use a bank account, then use another authentication. In the case where you have a physical system, you'd have to multiply touch that sensor to unlock. Whereas with the Face ID system, if you are in a situation whereby you have first unlocked the phone, then you're going into a banking app which needs to unlock, then you need to go into a certain transaction which needs to unlock within that banking app. All that happens just by you looking at the phone. So the multiple unlocks happen without you having to physically interact with the phone. And that's a very important advantage. And the Google Face ID system is even better than the Apple Face ID implementation because you can configure it so that once the phone is unlocked, it goes straight back to the application. Whereas in the Apple system, once the Face ID system unlocks the phone, you then have to interact with your finger and scroll up the screen to get back to the application that you just left, which, it kind of takes away from its usefulness. So the Google Face ID system is actually the best one. And what did you do, Google? You dropped it after the Pixel 4. You introduced the cheapo 4A and 5 line of phones with poorer CPU processors. And now we've finally got back to a chunky, solidly powerful, excellent phone in many respects, but you've lost Face ID. So bad Google. This fingerprint reader, if it was half decent, might partially compensate, but it still won't be as good as Face ID. The next thing that's wrong with the Pixel 6 phone is it's flipping massive and heavy. So let's look at it in more detail. Again, I would argue that phones don't need to be this big. If you are doing a lot of typing, you'd use a laptop. If you want something a little bit smaller without a keyboard interaction, you'd be using a tablet. And if you are using a phone, something that's needed to be portable and transportable, there's a physical limitation on the size of your pockets, and it's inconvenient to carry a large, heavy phone. And I don't think there's been sort of phone creep in sort of dimension and weight terms, so that over 200 grams is now a reality for many large phones. And the Pixel 6 Pro has an obnoxiously large screen. The Pixel 6 was as big as I was prepared to go for a phone. So I think that anything larger than the Pixel 6 is just, it's basically an abomination. Why, oh why, do people have such large screened phones when, if you're spending a significant amount of time interacting with a digital device, you'd use a tablet or you'd use a laptop? If you're saying that, oh, I've only got to be able to have that one device, well, you wouldn't be buying a Pixel 6 phone, would you? Because they start at £600 and the Pixel 6 Pro is about £800. So I'm afraid you could easily get a smattering of other devices for the same money. So size and weight is a really big issue. This phone, of course, has got this carbuncular, ridiculous, big fat bump here. Now that means to say that when you buy a case, the case by definition has to protrude past this point. So as you can see, this case sticks out. This is a Spygene case. I would recommend the brand, and it's a really good case, by the way. This is the thin and light case, 30 grams worth. So that fits on there. And now the phone is even thicker. So I think the phone is unacceptably large, and this is the Pixel 6. Obviously, if you're going for the 6 Pro, well, I'm never going to convince you. The next thing that's on my tick list of annoyances is that there are no free photos. On the Google Pixel 4, they had some freebies that you'd get when you bought the phone. And I actually got YouTube Premium for a few months, which was great. And then I also got the ability to take photos uploaded to Google Photos with no restriction. I thought that they might do that with this phone, but they haven't done it. They've given me they proposed to give me 3 months of 100 gigabytes storage, after which I'd have to start paying. But that doesn't quite make up for it. It's not quite the same as having a free for life Google Pixel 4 photo storage. So again, Google, perhaps if you'd offered me the freebie, I would have been more convinced. Of course, I do have to say that you did offer me this massive freebie, which would have reduced the cost of the phone by several £100s, and I could have used that money to pay for storage. So I'm talking a little bit of bollocks there, but let's keep going. Right, I found a plus point. The eraser. So the Pixel 6 comes with the Google camera, as does my Pixel 4. But if you go into the same place on the updated Android 12 camera app on my Pixel 4, guess what? The magic eraser is totally missing. Now, I've taken photographs on the Pixel 4 and then viewed the same photograph on the Pixel 6, and I can use the magic eraser. So technically speaking, there's nothing about the time and the information contained in the photograph that is preventing you from using the magic eraser, as I've just proven. So I'm sure the magic eraser could be incorporated on the Pixel 4. It's just that Google is choosing not to do that to convince you to buy a Pixel 6. So on the plus side, there is a magic eraser. On the negative side, Google, you're just playing games. The next thing that the Pixel 6 really scores on, and I'll be sorry to miss, is translation. It's got an uncanny ability to take any dictation and convert it to text. Now I've been using this facility for years on my Google Pixel 4, but it's not always accurate, and you often have to go back and edit manually, which takes ages, which is why I'm using dictation in the first place. Pixel 6 is extraordinarily accurate, fantastically accurate. So that's a really good thing. And secondly, only available on Pixel 6 is this translation mode, whereby you can have a conversation in a language that you don't speak or understand and have it translated both ways. So, for example, I could be in Bern in Germany, in Switzerland, and I could set it to Swiss German, and I could be speaking to someone in English, and it translates it to Swiss German, and then that person will speak Swiss German, and it translates it back to English. And that's just an amazing facility, and something that, again, if I was spending much more time back home in Switzerland, I would find invaluable. Obviously, thanks to COVID and thanks to many travel restrictions on many of us these days, we're not moving anywhere. So I have to say, that is a facility that I don't currently use, but if I was traveling within Europe, I think that would be a winning feature. But right now, not using the feature, and technically speaking, again, I think that could be implemented on Pixel 4. Sure, you'd have to use that very powerful CPU that's on the Pixel 4, the one that's more powerful than the 4a and the 5, and possibly almost as powerful as the Tensor chip. But hey, that's Google's decision. Okay, so we've got two features on the plus side so far. The last feature that's on the negative side is the hardware zoom. The Pixel 4 has got a 2x hardware zoom, and if I wanted the 4x hardware zoom of the Pixel 6 range, I'd need to buy the gargantuanly large Pixel 6 Pro. So the Pixel 6, the regular model, does not have the hardware zoom. Obviously you've got digital zoom, but you've got digital zoom on anything. So I could take my Pixel 4 photograph from the regular lens and just digitally zoom that, but that won't give me the resolution. So there you have it. I've owned the phone for just under 2 weeks. In the UK, that's your time limit for returning the phone. I really, really, really wanted to keep this phone, especially because effectively the phone would cost me £300. But the negative factors are awful fingerprint recognition, which I just find unusable. Size and weight of the phone, too heavy and too large. Camera bump not welcomed. No free photograph store, and no hardware zoom for photography. So with that, I'm going to pack up the phone. They say that if I get it back to the to Google UK somewhere, then they have up to 14 days to return my cash. Let's try that fingerprint reader once again, shall we? Let's just see how bad it is. Oh, that was slow. Oh, I still will miss you, Mr. Pixel 6. And since my Pixel 4's developed a bit of a hardware fault with its charging, I really hope I'm not going to look foolish in a couple of weeks, and if the Pixel 4 was to completely die, that would be most unwelcome. Okay, Dara, thanks for watching.